Hey, welcome to our virtual gathering on Easter Sunday. Whoever you are, however you found us, you are in the right place, and we are so happy to have you with us this morning.
Yes, it's Easter Sunday and we're somewhere new, a new location, and we're excited to share this morning with you. Welcome to Light Church.
Hey, this is so exciting this morning. We are in a new place, like Holly said. It's going to be such a good morning. You're in for an absolute treat.
Yeah, and I just want to welcome you. Maybe it's your first time here and you're visiting, or you've wanted to come check out what's happening at Light Church, or maybe you're here every single week. We're so excited to have you. And I want to encourage you to connect with us. Head to light.church/connect and fill out a form there so we can get to know you. And if at any point during this virtual gathering you want prayer, head to light.church/prayer and you can fill out a prayer request there.
Yeah, we're so excited to welcome you on this Easter Sunday. This is such a special day for us as a church, but for the global church as well. Today, we don't just meet together as Light Church, but we meet together with the church all around the world as we celebrate the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus. Something that brings us hope, something that brings us freedom. And I'm so excited today to jump into this and look at the importance of this in our life. So maybe this morning is the very first time you've ever stepped foot in a church, albeit virtually. I'm just praying that today is a day that changes your life forever. Or maybe you've been in church for many years and this is all pretty familiar to you. My hope for you today is that you will see this event, this day, in a completely new light. That it will be like the first time you have ever heard it, and it will move you to a place of action. It will move you to a place of reflection in your life. So I'm just pumped for all that is coming today. So you have a couple minutes and we're going to jump straight into worship.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope and without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To reveal the kingdom coming and to reconcile the lost, to reveal the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was our salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. In the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till that storm was moved for good, for the Lamb had come conquered death, and the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe for the souls of all who'd come to the fire that are restored. And the church of Christ was born. Then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings. Hold me now in the hands that created the heavens. Find me now where your grace runs as deep as your skies. You pulled me from the clay. You set me on a rock. You called me by your name. Made my heart whole again. Lifted up, and my knees know it's all for your glory. That I might stand with more reason to sing than to fear. You pulled me from the clay. You set me on a rock. You called me by your name and made my heart whole again. So here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. And that grace owns the ground where the grave did, where all my shame remains, left for dead in your way. You crashed those age-old gates. You left no stone unturned. You stepped out of that grave and shouldered me all the way. So here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. Oh, hold my heart now and forever. My soul cries out. Here I stand, high in surrender. I need you now. and forever my soul cries out. Was once I was broken, but you love my whole heart through. Sin has no hold on me, 'cause your grace holds me now. Healed and forgiven, look where my chains are now. Death has no hold on me, 'cause your grace owns their ground. And your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now. Your grace holds me now.
They took Jesus away, carrying his cross. Jesus went out to the place called Golgotha, the place of the skull. It was there that they crucified him. It was now about noon, and darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon, for the sun stopped shining. The earth began to shake, and the veil was torn. What a sacrifice was made that day, as the heavens roared. Jesus called out with a loud voice, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." When he had said this, he breathed his last. The broken and lifeless body of our Lord was taken, wrapped in strips of cloth, and in a dark, cold tomb was laid to rest. In this moment, hope seemed so distant, and death seemed to have won. But from deep darkness there shone a light that the darkness could not contain, nor could it bear. And in a moment when all had seemed lost, one miraculous breath, and everything changed. The King of Glory emerged from the tomb, his face shining like the sun. Each step he took, he trampled on the defeated power of sin and shame and guilt and death. It is because of this day that we can stare death in the face and ask, "O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" Once we were lost and separated, but Christ crossed eternity to call us home. And right now, in this moment, he calls us unto him, into freedom and into new life. So on this day, we remember what happened on that day, because on that day, new life began.
Many of you might be wondering the significance or relevance of a story that happened all those years ago on us today in 2021. Some of you might be thinking, like, how can something that happened so long ago have such a profound impact on us today? Well, my hope is that whoever you are, whether this is the first time you've ever heard this message before, or whether this is the 100th time and you're so familiar with it, I want to encourage you this morning. There's a voice calling out to you to step into the future that I believe God has put inside the heart of every single one of you. And my hope this morning is that you would make the choice to step into that future, not to play it safe, not to stand on the edge and wonder what if, but that you would step into the future that God has set within you through this incredible message I want to share with you this morning. So I want to share a quick story from John chapter 20. And there's this moment that picks up just after Jesus has been put in the tomb and he's been buried. And it says that Mary went to the tomb while it was still dark. And maybe you can relate to this moment. Like in the Bible passage, it physically would have been dark at that time because it was early in the morning. But I want to suggest that for Mary, it would have been this real dark time for her soul. Like her best friend, someone that she looked up to, someone she would travel around with, had been put to death. And she would have been in a place of grieving and mourning and loss. And it would have been the most difficult, crazy time for Mary. Maybe you can relate, you've been through times in your own life. And the passage just said, while it was still dark, while things were still difficult, while things were still physically dark in the morning. And so she goes to the tomb and she rolls up at this tomb and she sees that the stone had been rolled away and that there was no one inside the tomb. So she goes in, she looks around and immediately freaks out, like, what has happened? So she runs back. You kind of get this picture of desperation. She's sprinting back to go speak to the disciples, and who are like Jesus's people. She said, hey, look, come and see this. Come look, Jesus is not there. So she gets the disciples and they all run. Again, this picture of just, they're all just going for it, running to get to this tomb. And two of the disciples go in and check out, and they kind of recognize, right, he's not here. But it's interesting because their first thought wasn't that actually he'd risen from the dead, and that's not what they would have been thinking. Actually, they would have been thinking, I bet you the Romans would have stolen his body and they would have done something with it. Or like, have they taken him and moved him somewhere else? Like, what has happened? And the disciples head off, and then Mary's in this moment where she's just sat outside this empty tomb, and it says that she's just weeping, that she's just in this place. It's like she's at the end of herself. I don't know whether you've ever been there in your own life where you think things are really bad, like life has just turned on its head, and then something just, the bottom drops out, and you're like, I didn't even know I could go any further down. And Mary's in this place where, like, Jesus has been put to death. She gets there, he's gone, like, she's grieving. This is like a horrible situation. And she's just sat outside the tomb crying. She has this really interesting interaction with some angels, and the angels like, hey, who are you looking for? What's going on? And she kind of says, look, have you moved in? What's going on? I'm looking for Jesus. And then this really crazy moment happens. Mary's so caught up in her expectations that Jesus had gone, that they'd taken his body. And so caught up in this moment of pain, and so caught up in like the real difficulty of the moment. And actually Jesus, who had been resurrected from this grave, brought back to life, he comes and he speaks to Mary and he says, hey, why are you crying? And like I said, Mary's so caught up in the pain, she didn't recognize that it was Jesus. You can kind of imagine her like in this moment, looking at the floor, like completely distraught, and Jesus walking up to her saying, hey, who is it you're looking for? Why are you crying? What's going on? And there's this moment where she thinks he's the gardener, and she says, look, have you moved him? Just tell me where you've put him. Tell me where he is. And Jesus says, just simply, he says her name, Mary. And it was like in this moment, everything clicked. It was like that familiar voice that she'd heard time and time again. It kind of snapped her back into reality, and she realized who it was. In this crazy moment, she kind of runs to him and throws her arms around him and is like, no way, what is going on? Like, I saw you crucified. I saw you were taken away. What is going on? And then Jesus basically says, look, hey, my time has not yet come. And she says this really profound phrase. She simply says, I have seen the Lord. Now, wrapped up in this real simple little phrase is something that changed the course of human history. I have seen the Lord. See, so many of us ask this question, what does this story have any relevance on me? What does this mean for me in my life? And again, wrapped up, bound in this little phrase, I have seen the Lord. See, we believe that God came and stepped into human history, that he crossed eternity to come and to meet you, to come and to make a way for you to get back into relationship with God. And in this very moment, so Jesus was put to death, and then God raised Jesus after 3 days. And when Mary says, I have seen the Lord, what is what is meant by this statement to her. She's saying physically, like, I've seen him, he is alive, he's actually back. But this spark, this movement that spread across the planet for the last 2,000 years, that has grown and grown and is still today one of the most prominent religions or faiths, something that has completely shifted nations, things that have set thousands and thousands and thousands of people free over the years. This very moment, bound in this sentence, I have seen the Lord. This changes everything. My hope this morning is that you would get to a place where you say the very same thing. I get it. I've seen the Lord. I understand what this means. He is real. He is moving. He wants relationship with me. We see this moment where Jesus exits the tomb, where he comes back, he resurrects. It is such a profound moment for all of humanity. And it has such a profound impact on your life as an individual right here in 2021. See, the first thing is it offers us forgiveness, freedom from sin. You know, every single one of us is broken. Every single one of us is born sinful. You might think, oh, I'm a good person. I'm nice. But what I mean by sin is we are detached from God. Our ability to make it back to God, we cannot do that on our own. We have this, like, there is the relationship between humanity and God, creator and created, has been completely severed. We turned our back. We said, God, I want to do life in my own way. And we were all born into this place of sin. And the funny thing is so many of us think that freedom is the ability to do what we want. We think freedom is this thing where it's like, oh yeah, I get to make my own decisions. You know, I can just do whatever I want whenever I want. But the interesting thing about sin is it gives us this illusion that we are in complete control, when actually, when we sin, it pushes us further and further and further into this little trap. I want you to imagine that tomb that Jesus was laid in. It was this real dark, damp, cold, gloomy tomb. And it has this big stone that is rolled over. And this is just such a picture for us as well this morning, that every time we sin, when we live in this place of sin, we think it's this wide open space, but actually we back ourselves more and more into this dark, gloomy space. See, maybe in your own life you can relate to this feeling. You just feel trapped and restricted. And every time you go and try and make things work and you try and pull things together, you just feel worse. And you've got that little thing inside of you where you just know something isn't right. Where you just know that, like, something isn't clicking. We see this idea of sin. The Bible teaches us that it separates us from God. And God created every single one of us with a purpose and a design to be in relationship with Him. Did you know God breathed breath into you? In you is His image. He sees Himself in you. And He is desperate to pull you back into relationship with Him, so much so that He sent Himself. This is what this whole day is about. When Jesus resurrected and Mary said, I have seen the Lord, it is this moment saying He is back. He beat death. He has overcome sin so that you could be free. See, the resurrection offers freedom from sin. It offers a way out. Just like Jesus exited that tomb, rolled that stone. That is what you have on offer for you today. This isn't just some message where we're like, hey, like, faith is good, it helps us sleep at night. Or hey, faith is really good because it's what people say you should do. No, this is about freedom. This is about you living the life that you've been designed to live. This is what Jesus has put stuff inside of you. And the only way that that is going to come out is in relationship with the one who put it there. See, this resurrection means we have freedom from sin. But it also means that we also can have strength in the midst of weakness. See, so often people think that religion or faith, or when we follow Jesus, it means all your problems go away. That it means like you live this completely problem-free life. Well, that is not what the Christian faith offers at all. In fact, many of you will know life is painful and life is difficult. See, Jesus does not offer a problem-free life, but He offers strength in the midst of weakness. See, when Mary, I love this moment, she sat outside the tomb and she's weeping. And she's just there in all of this pain and despair and brokenness. And I love how Jesus meets her right in the middle of her pain. Can I just tell you this morning, whatever it is you're sat in your life, you might be sat in some severe financial difficulties. You might be sat in some crazy health problems. You might have backed yourself into a corner of debt, or whatever it is you are facing. Maybe it's mental health. Maybe you've got family problems or relationship problems or whatever life has thrown at you. Did you know that Jesus wants to meet you right in the middle of your pain? Just like Mary, when she'd hit rock bottom, when she had nowhere to go, she was isolated on her own. Jesus met her in her pain. See, the resurrection doesn't just offer the ability for us to sleep well at night. It offers us strength in the midst of our brokenness. It offers us something that we can actually operate. See, peace isn't it when every single thing in your life is okay and you have no problems. Peace is actually when you are okay in the midst of the craziness of life. How many of us know that life can be mental? You see, I don't follow Jesus because everything is made okay, because that's a myth. I follow Jesus because when everything is upside down, I know that I'm going to be okay because Jesus meets me right in my weakness. It says in some of Paul's letters that His grace is sufficient for us, that His power is made perfect in what? Our weakness. It doesn't say His power is made perfect when you have everything together. It doesn't say His power is made perfect when, you do well in school, or you're doing well in your job, or you get promoted, you have a certain amount of money in the bank, or you drive a nice car, or you've had sex with all these people, or you're taking these drugs or That's not what it says. It says His power is made perfect in your weakness. That means when you find yourself on your knees, at the end of yourself, with no hope, with nothing, God wants to give you a strength in that moment. But the thing is, it requires us to let go. It requires us to say, I can't do this on my own. See, the resurrection gives us the ability to have power, to have strength in the midst of our weakness. It's often said that the tools of a tyrant are fear and pain and death. In other words, when someone wants to control, the method of control is fear, and often fear of death, fear of something really bad happening. You see, why the resurrection is so important and why bound up in this statement, I have seen the Lord, means so much to humanity, is because when Mary says this, when her physical eyes laid on the body of the physical Jesus as He was physically resurrected from the grave, it meant that the power that is held when Jesus was put to death, when He overcame that, it means that there was power beyond the methods, power beyond the tools of the enemy. It means that there was something beyond. It means that the strength and the glory and the might and the power of Jesus goes beyond the ability of death. It goes beyond the ability of brokenness. It goes beyond the abilities of sin. So you in your life right now, you might feel like you've got so much fear. You might feel like you have so much brokenness, so much burden and weight on your shoulders. Let me encourage you, the resurrection, the significance of this resurrection, why we're so excited about this story, why it is we do all this stuff to communicate this story, is because we believe that Jesus offers strength in the midst of your brokenness. He offers us freedom from sin, strength in our brokenness, and He offers us light beyond the darkness. He offers us light beyond the darkness. As we stand here on this crazy sunrise with this beautiful surroundings, we can hear the birds and we can see the sun coming up. So many of you might actually feel the exact opposite. Like you might feel like there were things, there were dreams, there were purposes inside of you that actually the sun went down on. You find yourself in that very same place that Mary was in. It says, while it was still dark, while she stood there, it was dark. She looked around, she couldn't really see much. Things were small, things were isolated. We've just stood on the back of a global pandemic where people are more isolated than they have ever been. Many of you might actually this morning feel like that is a picture of my life. While it was still dark, the bottom dropped out of Mary's complete world. See, the resurrection of Jesus doesn't just offer us strength in the midst of the weakness, but it offers us light beyond that darkness. See, it offers us hope. That's the whole point. The resurrection of Jesus is the promise of hope for you and for me. So whatever it is we come in contact with in our life, whatever it is we face, the promise of hope is right there. Jesus offers it to you. He sent himself to this earth to die so that you would have hope for tomorrow. So that whatever you are facing, this is why this entire pandemic, we've been saying, look, the best years are yet to come. The best days are yet to come. The best of your life is yet to come. This isn't just positive thinking. This is a posture. This is an outlook that we have. Why? Because of the resurrection of Jesus. Death could not hold him down. When all seemed lost, when all seemed broken, there was light beyond the darkness. And let me encourage you this morning in your life. There is light beyond the darkness when you align yourself with Jesus. There is light beyond the darkness that you face when you begin to follow Jesus. That is what he offers. Life right now might feel like that place. You might be watching this gathering this morning, feeling like, can things ever get any better? Well, I'm here to encourage you this morning that yes, they can. Not because of positive thinking, not because of just those around you, not because of a relationship or money, not because of anything else, but because Jesus could not be held down by death. But he rose again to give you hope for tomorrow. There is hope. There will always be hope because of what he did. So you might ask the question, what does this have? Why is this relevant for me? Why does this story have anything to do with my life? Well, I think it has everything to do with your life. See, the resurrection is the promise of freedom. Freedom from sin, freedom from the holds of that restriction, that limit in your life. It is the strength in the midst of weakness. It is strength and power when you feel like you have nothing else to give. The resurrection of Jesus is the promise of hope. It is the promise of light beyond the things that we face. So yeah, I believe it is relevant for your life. So whoever you are, whatever it is your story is, however you made it to this moment right here, I want you to know that there is a voice calling from that empty tomb, calling you to step into the future that he placed within you, calling you to be the person that he designed you to be. I know you feel it. I know that you feel the purpose that he set inside here, and I know that you feel that there is something on your life. But listen, you are not going to find it anywhere other than the relationship with the one who put it there, the one who sent himself to this earth for you and for me. It says in Romans that if we join Christ in his death, in other words, if we align ourselves, if we put our old self to death, it's like we cast off our old self, we turn from the way we were living, we put ourselves to death, we die with Christ. It says we will also rise with Christ. See, this is really interesting because so many of us think that in our lives, if we grip so tightly and we try and save ourselves and we try and hold on to all the things that are inside of us, I know I want to make something of my life. I know there's things in me. I know that there's a plan and there's a purpose. I know that there's something in me. There is a significance on me. And you hold so tightly to it. The thing is, you'll just never, ever be able to step into the vibrance of who God made you to be. The crazy thing is about the kingdom of our God, the crazy thing about Jesus is, it's actually when we let go and we fall into the arms of God. When we recognize this sacrifice, and like you said, when we die to ourselves, when we die with Christ, the promise is that just like Jesus resurrected, we too will rise with Christ. So my hope for you this morning is not that you would just be encouraged, not that you would just be inspired or learn some knowledge about what this event 2,000 years ago means, but it is that you would actually let go and fall into a relationship with Jesus, that you would make the decision to die to yourself and rise with Christ. See, the promise of Jesus is that in relationship with him, you become the truest version of you, because he made you that way. So this morning, if you want to find the real you, let go, fall into him. And the promise is that you will rise again with Jesus, both in this life and beyond this life. See, this story has relevance because it is freedom from sin, strength in the midst of weakness, and it is light beyond the darkness. I hope you don't just take this morning as entertainment or fun, even though it's amazing and the scenery and the atmosphere is just so beautiful. But I pray this would be a moment that would completely shift your perspective. If this is the first time you've ever heard it, I want to invite you to step into that place of relationship with our Creator. He loves you so much. We celebrate as a global church on this day because it is the day where Jesus overcame for you and for me. And there is the promise of hope. So I hope today has left you feeling excited, feeling that there is more for your life. And my prayer is that you would take that step to step into your future through the life-changing, life-shifting, life-transforming message of Jesus.
What an incredible Easter Sunday virtual gathering we have had, and just to hear that message, to hear it explained so well, it was incredible. And I don't know, this morning maybe it stirred something in you, maybe you've got some questions, then we'd love for you to get in touch with us. So make sure you email us at hello@light.church, because we don't want you to be left alone at the end of this. There is more to Light Church than just these virtual gatherings, so please get in contact. But yeah, we've loved sharing in these moments, and I don't know, maybe it's your first time here or you want to connect with us, again, remember that connect form, and it's at light.church/connect, and make sure you're connecting in with us.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely love today. I mean, it's been such an amazing day. And I hope you see we put all this effort in because we fully believe with all our hearts in this incredible message. We fully believe that this is a message that will change your life.
Yeah.
So we want to communicate it in a way that is beautiful. We want to communicate it in a way that is inspiring. So I just want to take a moment to shout out our incredible creative team. There was a couple 4:30 a.m. wake up so we could catch the sunrise. But it's just amazing as we stand here on this super special day that we get to celebrate all that Jesus did. We get to enjoy that freedom, enjoy that forgiveness, enjoy just that grace and the feeling of being made whole again. So I hope today has just really like centered you on the person and the message of Jesus. And like Holly said, do get in touch. We would love to take this journey with you. But also, I want you to follow us on social media. And that sounds like a command, but I really want to encourage you, follow us on social media, because we put so much effort again into communicating this message, not just for you, but for the people in your world too.
Yeah.
And so on the back of this message, so you can hook in with us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, you can subscribe to our YouTube, like this video. But I just want to encourage you on the back of today, maybe send this gathering to a couple friends.
Yeah.
A couple friends that you just know need to hear this message. Some people are on your heart right now, because like I said, we wanted to make today as accessible as possible for every single one of you to invite people to. But like Holly said, it's been such an honor to spend this time together, and it's been so good to be out and to, like I said earlier, hear the birds and be in the sun. And
Yeah.
but I think that's everything from us.
Yeah, it is.
It has been a proper special day, and I'm excited for all that's to come.
Yeah.
We've got a new series next week as well. So we will see you next week.
Have an amazing day.
11 a.m.
Bye.
See ya.